Hey, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about self-image and why it is so important to have a healthy self-image and what it can do for you. And so many things I've learned about self-image work this past year that I want to share with you that has really just changed how I view myself and also how I treat myself. Self-image, I want to just kind of give you a little brief explanation. So self-image is actually the idea that we have of ourself and what we think of ourselves and how we view ourselves. So like our abilities, our appearance, and our personality. And so it's not like what somebody else tells us, it's how we actually see ourselves. So like when you look in the mirror and you view yourself in the mirror, how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself in a positive way or loving way, or do you like pick apart all your flaws? A healthy self-image, you will fall in love with yourself regardless of the flaws, right? You'll really see the beauty in yourself. But a lot of people don't realize that they have an unhealthy self-image. I was actually one of those people. About a year ago, my life coach did my very first one-on-one coach call. And I went to her workshop, and it was a free workshop. And I'll be darned if she didn't tell me that I needed to work on my self-image. And so she gave me this book, and I started working on it. So if you want that book, all you have to do is just reach out to me, and I can get you the information. But um, she literally like gave me the tool, right? And I had no idea that my self-image was so damaged. And it had been so damaged by just life and the things that I had gone through by holding on to things that didn't serve me anymore. And so it's like an internal dictionary. It describes the characteristics of yourself, including such things of you're intelligent, you're beautiful, you're ugly, you're talented, you're selfish, you're kind. So like things that we say to ourselves. And it is a mental picture, genuinely of a kind that is quite resistant to change. Self-image, it's really hard for people to see that they need to change or that they can change, right? It depicts not only the details that are potentially available to an objective look like when you're looking at somebody else, like the height, the weight, the hair color, you're looking at somebody, you see the outer appearance, like the normal, how tall are you, how much do you weigh, and your hair color, right, et cetera, et cetera. But it also has to do with the person, like themselves, like their personality, how they style themselves, how their appearance is, like how they take care of themselves. The three elements of a person's self-image are the way a person perceives or thinks of him or herself, the way a person interprets other people's perceptions and perspectives, like what he thinks that others think of him. And so, like when I, walk into a room, am I worried about what those people think of me, or am I walking into the room with zero concerns about that? Um, like how would you like to be treated, like those kinds of things. So self-image really identifies that. um it affects like the things that you think you're capable of, your abilities. It will, the way you dress, if you want to get a more positive self-image. Bob Proctor actually says, go out and put on an outfit and dress the part. So like if you want to become a certain profession, and they that most of them dress a certain way, of like a suit and a tie, then go out and put on a suit and tie, like feel good, like dress the part, put on a dress, like get ready, like you're going to go out and do that. Even if you have not started it yet, dress the part. um, because that appearance is what's going to help you build that positive self concept and that positive self perception and image. Okay, it's like a consciousness. It's like your body is seeing it, and so we start to believe things when we start to see it generally first. Before a lot of people have a struggle with faith, and the faith in knowing that it's already done. And so sometimes the outer appearance can really help us build that. Personality traits. It can affect your personality traits, little quirkiness, things about you, or things that you think that you have to do or say around certain people because that's what you've always done. Like that'll affect your self-image, the abilities that you have. Like I was saying, if you think you're not capable of a skill, or you think you're not good enough, it will impact those. Things that you like and dislike, it absolutely impacts that. If you have somebody that you're in a relationship with and they don't like a certain food, so you can literally say, well, I don't like that certain food either in the beginning of your relationship. And then you really want to eat that food halfway, you've been together for like 2 years and you've held out for 2 years, but you really like that food and it's offered to you. And then your partner's like, but I thought you said you didn't like that. Like, you developed a self-image around your partner of this dislike, and then now all of a sudden, like, you're breaking that mold and gonna try it, right? But they didn't know you actually liked it. And so, like, our self-image, the way we view ourselves, we felt like we had to hide that from them in order for them to like us in the beginning of the relationship. We had, like, if I say I like that food, they may not continue dating me. We think of the most craziest things of what other people are gonna think, so we do these drastic things sometimes. They don't have to be drastic, but they can be. And we have to understand that if we have a positive, healthy self image, it won't matter if they don't like it or not because you like it and that's okay. That's enough. um, your belief system, your moral code. So, what you believe, spiritually, emotionally, physically, like your belief system, and that moral code, that compass, those things will be motivated by your self image. They all contribute to your self image and your unique identity as a person. So, self image is your uniqueness. So many people are trying to be like other people, but they don't realize that that affects their self-image because they were not created to be like that person. They were created to be them. And so people who can easily describe these aspects of their identity typically have a fairly strong sense of who they are. So if you know what your belief system is and you know what your moral code compass is and what you like and you don't like, and you understand your personality traits and your abilities, and you're also willing to change and to grow, that's going to give you a more healthy self-image. Um, the ideal self image refers to how you wish you were and how you think you should be. And so you get to decide your self image, but it's also an intuition too. If it doesn't feel right, then you know it's not the right one. It flows so smooth and easy when it's the correct self image. You don't feel gross when saying things. You don't feel uncomfortable. Like, it flows so smoothly. It's created out of what you have learned from your life experiences, the demands of society, and what you adhere in your role models. And so, what do you admire in your role models? What have you grabbed onto from your role models and like velcroed them to you, basically adhered them right to you because you admire those role models. And so you're going to find your self-image is developed by, if you watch TV, if you listen to music, if you listen to podcasts, if you go to seminars, if you're in school, if you have a job where you have somebody that's talking to you on a consistent basis. I know they do all kinds of trainings for work and things, right? All of those things, your parents, the people who raised you, like, you're going to be influenced by all of those role models. And your self-image, it will be created by those life experiences, and it can give you a negative or positive or a little bit of both. Self-image also reflects, it's definitely reflects on how we see ourselves. Our self-esteem is how much we value ourselves. And so if you have a low self-esteem, you normally have a low self-image. If you don't value yourself, right? If you don't put yourself like at a value, a higher value, and you just let people walk all over you and you feel like a doormat all the time, or you feel like a revolving door of friends or things of that nature, it's most likely you have a low self-esteem, which now adds to a negative low self-image, and that is reflected. People see that. You project your self-image onto people when you're around them, right? If you have any kind of mental health going on, if you have dramatic self-image changes where, personality disorders or any kind of like anxiety disorders, those things will affect your self-image. Usually it lowers that. And so it takes a little bit more work to to increase your self-image, to better it, but it's how a person feels about themselves and their abilities. While self-image is how a person sees themselves, and self-esteem is how the people feel about themselves, right? And their abilities, how we feel about ourselves. That's like almost that feeling, because feelings are so powerful, right? And a lot of people tell us to turn off our feelings, but they're one of our highest emotion faculties. And we really, really don't want to turn them off. But we just need to know how to center them and how to better control them and get a handle on them so that we use them for the right way, right? So they're not just all over the place being overly emotional, but instead you can stabilize it. So by stabilizing your emotions, it's really your self-esteem. It's learning to love yourself. I did like Mel Robbins high five habit, and I slammed my hand up against the mirror every day and took a photo and told myself I love you. And and then started listing off, 3 to 5 things about what I loved about myself. I hated everything about myself when I started that practice. Just so you guys know, when I started personal development, I didn't like anything about myself. I could pick myself apart better than anybody else in the world, and it was horrible. And so to now know I have a healthy self-image, and I do love myself through and through. I love every single part of myself. And if there's a second that I doubt it, I remind myself of like the beautiful person I am inside, and like what I've gone through and how I've overcome it, and just how dang strong I am. And that's just beautiful. That's powerful. Like I can do some incredible things. And it's so important that we recognize that within ourselves. And so we have to feel really good about ourselves, right? And our abilities. And then self-image is how we see ourselves, when we believe that it's like what we believe others see, right? So um, it's like how we see ourselves and how we believe others see us. And so how do you think someone else um, feels about you? How do you think they see you? So the words of a poor self-image, okay? Insecureness, self-awareness, lack of confidence, lack of self-confidence, lack of self-esteem, right? And those are the areas that you want to improve so that you have a healthy self-image. 12 examples of self-image. You act assertively without guilt. You don't dwell on the past. You see everyone as your equal. You don't allow yourself to be manipulated. You recognize both positive and negative feelings and share them with others. You find yourself doing different things to achieve balance. And so those are just a few examples. If you have a negative self-image, you might have difficulty making even small decisions. If you might trouble establishing relationships, you might have trouble establishing relationships. You might be afraid to be the center of attention when given a presentation, for example. Like you're constantly comparing yourself to others and being very sensitive to criticism. And those are just a few negative self-image patterns, right? How to improve your self-image. You want to hear a couple of things I want to share with you on how to improve your self-image that really did help me too. Um, get to know yourself. Sit down and make a list of the things that you really truly love doing, even if you're not doing them currently. Like what makes you happy and what brings you value in your life. Such good coffee. Try to challenge unkind thoughts about yourself. So when you have a negative thought about yourself come in, I challenge you to say 3 to 5 things that are positive about yourself, that are good. And it's going to be hard at first. You might only find a couple. That's okay. But keep trying to get those 3 to 5. Because what's going to happen is you're going to rewire your brain. So every time that word pops up or that thought pops up, you're going to change it to those other ones. And pretty soon you're going to believe those things about yourself. The next one is say positive things to yourself. And that's truly what you should be doing. When you, like I said, catch those negatives. At first, we tended to catch we tend to do negative thoughts, right? Oh, I can't believe you did that. That was so stupid, right? You dropped something. Oh, why did you do that? That was dumb. Instead, be like, all right, let me pick that up. I'm glad that it didn't hit my toe. Like there are reasons to be positive. Practice saying no. A lot of people get really offended when they hear the word no, but I promise you, we all need to hear the word no, and we also need to learn to say no. If it's not going to serve our mental health and going to take us to our higher level self, if it's not going to serve others the way that you would really love to serve others, if it's not good for your mental health, it's important that you learn to say no. And sometimes we just have to say no because it's not the right timing for us. Five, try to avoid comparing yourself to others. This is huge. Comparison is the thief of joy. Okay. I truly believe comparison is the thief of joy. And so comparing yourself to somebody else is only going to rob you of the amazing gifts and qualities that you have. And so what if someone else wore the dress better, or wore the top better, or said the speech better, or whatever, right? So what if they did better than you? Who cares? um what we have to understand is that we're only in competition with the person we were yesterday, and that we're constantly changing. So when you wake up each morning, you're a new person. When you go to bed that night, you're a new person. When you wake up the next day, you're a new person. Your job is to never compare yourself to anybody except for who you were yesterday or who you were this morning, because you got to understand that when comparing yourself, don't beat yourself up either. Comparison can sometimes lean into a negative spiral, just rabbit hole, and it's so toxic because people don't realize how much it infects our self-image. And so avoid to yourself, comparing yourself to others. If you like what somebody else is doing, follow their example and go do it yourself. It's okay to copy the right cat as long as you're making it original and bringing in yourself to the table. You want to bring some of your pizzazz to it, some of your qualities to it. So don't be afraid to put your own little flair on things, but you can also get examples from other people, right? Like I have been on this home decor kick. Like I really want to visualize my living room and my kitchen and my bedroom area of our new home, and like how our house is going to be laid out, right? Because it really just makes me be able to visualize that coming sooner, and how incredible it's going to be and the feelings that come with it. And so like I've been going through and like comparing other people's like decoration things and different stuff, right? But I would never like be like, oh, I can't do that. Or, oh, you know what I mean? If it's something I enjoy and I want, awesome. If it's not something that I'm interested in, I just skip it and move on. Because there's no sense in me comparing it. If I think I can put my own little flair on it, awesome. But if I can't, that's fine too. And then the next thing is do something nice for yourself. This was something that I neglected to do for decades. I would put everybody else first and myself last. And so maybe it's a hot bubble bath like I did yesterday. Yesterday, midday, I just went and soaked in a hot bubble bath. It felt so good. And I would never do that before. Like if you would have asked me to go do that before, I would have laughed and said, no way. Right. Maybe it is, going and treating yourself to just something special for yourself, that you've wanted a new outfit, or maybe it's, taking some extra money and saving it for a trip. You never know what it is that you're doing for yourself. Maybe it's buying yourself a cup of coffee. You're so used to buying things for everybody else. You don't even buy yourself a cup of coffee. And so like we never know what it is. I had a friend say, I finally bought myself a pair of good shoes, walking shoes. I want to start my walking again, but I would never spend the, X amount of dollars on a good pair of shoes. And instead I would spend it on the family and I'd feel guilty. And so I would go without. And instead they chose to invest in their health and invest in those shoes. And by them doing that, they're actually, whether they know it or not, they're actually benefiting their family. They're actually going to, they did something nice for themselves, but it's actually going to make a ripple effect and an impact on every single person in their household, because them improving their health and getting better means that they're around longer for their family. It means that they're there for their family and their kids. And so, and it also sets an example of, loving on yourself and doing something that's going to benefit your health but to also benefit your family. And so it's literally a ripple effect of those things when we do them. And so those are some ideas on how you can improve your self-image. Be kind to yourself. Remember to view yourself in a positive way. It's so hard when we have people around us who can influence our self-image in a negative way. So friends also serve as a source of positive reinforcement. They celebrate our achievements, encourage our ambitions, and provide support during setbacks. Their beliefs in our abilities and their encouragement can strengthen our belief in ourselves, fostering a more positive self perception and bolstering our self esteem. However, with the wrong environment or the wrong friends, that can go the complete opposite, and they could literally distract you from having a healthier lifestyle. Some people have such a negative self image themselves that they don't like seeing the idea of um, someone else changing, because it means that they could lose that relationship because they're scared of change. And so I've experienced that in my life personally myself. People have said to me, "You've changed." And I said, "I sure hope so," because I was not a happy person. I was a miserable, you know what? And they did not know how to perceive that. Like, it bothered them that I was improving myself and bettering myself. And so I had to, some relationships did not come forward with me in my growth. I had to make those decisions. Was it scary? Was it hard? Was it overwhelming? Yes, I don't like confrontation. That because I didn't have a healthy self image at the time. So because I did not have a healthy self image at the time, it was really hard to just take breaks and come back to those relationships and those conversations later to see if they were something that I can improve on once I had a healthier self image. I Some of them knew that I took breaks, some of them did not, because I just having those conversations with them, they just they couldn't wrap it around their head, to be honest with you. And so that was probably the hardest part of the growth, for me, was the choices and who I have in my circle. Um, so does your self-image affect your self-confidence? Our perception of how we look can have a big impact on the value we place on ourselves and how much self-confidence we have in our day-to-day lives. And so, although low self-esteem can be a particular problem for people living with a visible difference, right? Or an invisible illness or things of that nature, right? It can be really easy for us to slip down in and have a low self-confidence and a low self-esteem, right? Um, but it's there are things that we can do to improve it, and that's by the things we've talked about today, by working on ourselves and knowing that it's a process and it's not going to happen overnight. Okay. Um, it's so important to understand that you are learning to accept and love yourself. Okay. That's what it starts with. It really just starts with you learning to accept and love yourself. And it means being accepted and loved by others. And so that's what the foundation of a healthy self-image is. A healthy self-image. We're starting off, we're learning to accept and love ourselves as we are, right now, as we are, and who we're becoming, right? And but it also, and if who we've been, like, we've got to learn to love our past little selves and our child selves, and learn to know that we didn't know things. There were things that we hadn't learned yet. There were experiences in life we hadn't had yet, and here we are still beating ourselves against the wall for a mistake or something we did wrong, 20 years ago, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, 6 months ago, like whatever it is, right? And we have to learn to just let those go. We got to let them people that hurt us go. We've got to just let them. And we've got to allow ourselves to let go of the mistakes we made and forgive ourselves and love ourselves, learning to accept and love ourselves. And it means that we're by doing that, learning, accepting, and loving ourselves through and through, every single atom, every single molecule of who we are, like every single thing. It also means that we're being accepted and loved by others. And we're going to be more open and receptive to that love from others. I promise you, it's so magical. It's so magical. Um, People with a healthy self-esteem recognize and accept their abilities and their flaws and their strengths and their weaknesses. And they're not afraid to say, "Hey, I'm going to go find this person because I know that they are stronger and better at this than I am, and I really love their qualities and I admire them, and so I'm going to go and utilize those skills that they have and ask them for help." And that's part of us being having a healthy self-esteem and being willing to ask other people when we know it's not a quality that we're that great at. Okay. So like for me, I'm a mural. I don't do as much now, but one of my passions was painting murals on walls. Love mural painting. And I just love the big scale, the big art wall, to just go crazy. And um I knew that there were some little things that I wasn't as great at, right? Like I had wonderful qualities when it came to drawing the flowers and the backgrounds and the nature and the animals and like all the things, but when it come to drawing like some of the people and some of the things, I really wanted this person who's really really good at those, has excellent qualities of those and does really good at that, right? So I could have either let my ego and pride get in the way and my a negative self-image of myself and low self-esteem, and I could have easily in my past self would have said, I'm too embarrassed to ask them for help. I'll figure it out myself. And I I really don't want to admit that I suck at that. Like, I'll figure it out myself, right? But my future version self now, she would totally ask for help. She would totally go up and tell them how awesome they are at their gifts and their talents, and she would be so like excited to work with them. She would be so excited to collaborate. She'd be so excited to just be able to recognize the strengths and qualities that they have that are greater than hers, right? And literally go ask for help and just have so much fun and with the process. And so that's something I wouldn't do before. Before it would give me anxiety, before I'd have fears and doubts, before I would not make quick decisions. I would literally I'd sit on that for weeks, months, years. Like it's so insane. And I would finally just say F it and then do it myself. And then I would be disappointed in the output of the quality of work that I did, right? But now I can be so excited and be so grateful that they said yes to collaborating, and the quality of work is just so much better. It's enhanced, it's improved. I mean, it's just incredible, right? And I'm so proud of the process. I'm so excited for the process. I'm so grateful for the process. And so like that gratitude changed my attitude too, right? Because that comes with a healthier self-esteem and a healthier self-image. And so many different ways that you can work on your self-image, um and to stabilize it. You want to stabilize your self-image. You want to constantly be able to not feel like you're bouncing all over the walls with your thoughts and those emotions, right? And so if you just know that it starts, what do we talk about, with loving yourself, right? It's learning to accept and love yourself, and then soon you will accept and love others. And so I hope this helps someone today. It has been just such an awesome topic to explore, and we will talk more about this in other episodes, but for now we're going to end and here. I hope you have an amazing day. Go out and be the light for someone today.